season. All right, we're back from our break, back from discussing our travails on the major New York City highways and lack of turn signals.
That's true.
2008, the important contextual update. We're now in Afghanistan.
Yep, that's big.
And Tony is now not there as a patriotic, supporter of U.S. involvement in Afghanistan. He's there purely as a profiteer, purely to sell his, cutting edge technology, the Jericho missile.
A Lockheed Martin sort.
And that you haven't seen the movie. I swear to God, people, this is part of Zaheen's genius, which is multifaceted and multi-level. But the Stark Industries logo on the missiles is very much inspired by Lockheed Martin.
Yes, it is.
That's a fact.
Like even that thing,
That's so funny.
Yes.
I wonder if that's a veiled reference.
Oh, it's not veiled.
I don't think
at
it's
all.
veiled at all.
Overt reference.
There it is. I think it's more like overt. Yes.
That is like everyone at the Pride Parade. It is out and proud.
It's
And you know
yes,
what?
yes.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Living their truth. So Tony's there to sell the Jericho missile, both to the U.S. as well as to their complicit Afghan compatriots, so to speak. So you've definitely got the representation on the other side of Raza and the 10 Rings, who eventually take Tony hostage, replacing Wang Chu. But you also have the complicit Afghan generals who are working with the U.S. military, who are potentially going to be using this Jericho missile. And the other interesting twist is Tony doesn't get injured by a booby trap set by the enemy. Tony actually gets injured, he does get injured in a booby trap set by the enemy, but he's not tripping over it himself the way he does in the comics. It's just, again, context of Afghanistan in 2007, 2008. They drive over a landmine as part of a convoy. But again, why is Tony in an RV, a Humvee rather, sorry, not to be a very different movie if he was in an RV.
Very true, very true.
Why is Tony in a Humvee in the Afghan desert? It doesn't make any sense.
This one makes less sense to me, especially because in the movie he really is characterized, like you said, as a likable asshole. That is not the person that you expect out and about riding around in the desert.
So the only thing I think about that makes a little bit more sense with the 2008 version was just because, like he was there for pure sales pitch. That was it, like purely sales pitch. He was out there, right? So he was out there. He was trying to sell the generals, this is my thing. And so for that one, I think that makes sense just because it's like he got there somehow, right? Like somehow this man got to the site to sell the product.
So he's like trying to wine and dine them, but in a war sense.
Precisely,
Wine
right?
and dine, but like
But
impress.
you know what was missing?
Yeah.
No PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, trust me.
What kind of professional is this man?
You know
You know what? Not a professional.
Thank you.
You need a deck if you're gonna try and pitch something.
You know what
Thank
he did?
you.
He just
Zaheen gets it.
He just took the animations tab and then actually this is 2008, so I don't even know if Microsoft PowerPoint had the animations tab yet, right?
It's just why I think you should buy this
Basically.
with the little animation of the title bouncing into the slide.
And lots of corner wipes.
Exactly.
I love those corner wipes. I used them a lot in middle school.
Tell us how you feel when your eyeballs flared open with the corner. And so, like, you're right. He didn't need PowerPoint. You know, he probably, like, I forget. I'm assuming, like, 2008, they, like, Office hadn't redone their entire UI, so you had the tabs anymore.
We didn't have Clippy anymore.
Didn't have Clippy. Well, that's another season right there.
Clippy.
People got feelings about Clippy.
I'm getting emotional.
People got feelings about Clippy,
I miss
right?
Clippy.
And so he didn't have the PowerPoint presentation. He's out there. He tried to sell it. And, like, matter of fact, too, like, at some point after, like, the presentation with the missiles, like, there's a shot of him, like, one of his cases opens up and he has, like, a drink for himself, right? So
that's a deep cut reference to the Demon in a Bottle series of Iron Man in the 70s.
He was an alcoholic.
Oh, dear.
Exactly.
Hey, if you
He's not
lost your
perfect.
parents at a young age and had to deal with the stress of shrapnel eating its way to your heart all the time, you drink too.
So that was a thing.
Oh, no, I get it. It's just He's not perfect.
And
Oh, no.
for the kids in the audience, that's a joke.
Yeah.
We don't want to encourage drinking.
Kids,
in
please don't.
Yeah, please don't. It's bad.
enjoy a drink socially with your friends.
Yeah.
You know, toast the
you
good
want.
times with family, but yeah, don't use liquor to solve your problems.
It's not a
'cause
coping mechanism.
unlike what Homer Simpson said, alcohol is not the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Very true. And so then he was in the RV, like the way I viewed it, he was in the RV
Humvee?
basically. Oh yes, Humvee. Thank you.
See
Fact
how
checker.
I planted that
Fact
seed?
checker.
Yeah.
Fact checker. That's true, right? So he was in the Humvee, right? I assume like he was in the Humvee on the way back to either base or something. So that part made sense to me in terms of him being there. Yeah, when you're talking about the Tales of Suspense with him being in the jungle as part of his origin story, I thought, whoa. I was thinking the same thing like you. It's like
Yeah.
this is completely different.
What are you doing there?
What are you doing there? This,
But no, the way you say it, actually, the whole, you know, I'm a salesman. I'm gonna sell this to the people there. Makes sense, actually. Yeah, I retract my statement.
Oh.
You've changed my mind.
Oh wow.
And that's one to grow on. Which and again, I just love the way you guys brought it back, which is how that affects the situation that Tony's in. Because in 2008, you know, he's chosen, not only has he chosen to be there, but he's doing it for extremely selfish reasons. And in the context of defining the project's scope, which is what we're here to talk about in episode 2, that I think is a fundamental difference in that in the comics and in the movie, he's trying to survive, but in the movie, and you know, this is because it's trying to take the entire arc of Tony arc.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
see what you did there.
Oh, yes.
And trying to give you a full narrative, whereas Tales of Suspense is just saying, "Hey, look at this new character we came up with. Do you like him?" But in the movie, he's got to make this hero's journey from likable asshole who does dastardly things and really is only involved or is only concerned about himself into a guy who realizes I'm killing people with the stuff that I make. And once I get out of here and get back home to Malibu and my bomb-ass mansion, which, again, I just watched the movie again last night. I mentioned this.
It's phenomenal.
I'm going to use Zaheen's word. Sick.
Yeah, you haven't seen Iron Man 1, have you?
No.
Yeah, the mansion nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You might even say bananas.
It is bananas.
Anyway,
Is this shit bananas?
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S?
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
how bananas it is. Yes.
All right, noted.
didn't
noted.
know we were going to do a spelling bee
Gwen
today, but I'm here.
Stefani she would be like awestruck. She wouldn't even spell bananas. That's how
She probably would forget how.
She'd be like, I stopped that B. Like that's like that's how crazy it is.
Can't even sound it out.
Can't even stop. She's like, I quit.
I'm feeling another T-shirt. I stopped at B. But that's an important part of Tony's journey in the movie is he understands that he has been causing nothing but pain and suffering and death by being the way he's been and not thinking about the way his technologies were used, so that when he gets home, he's like, I'm out of the arms business. Suck it, Obadiah. You know, we're not doing that anymore.
But then, question for you, and this may be out of order, right? But in your take, do you believe he had that realization during his time in the cave when he was focusing on escaping, or it was like, oh shoot, I have one goal. My project scope is to get out, right? And then after he
a good
succeeds,
point.
then he's like, now that I've survived and accomplished, oh snap! Like, do you think both happened simultaneously or not?
Well, Carl, I'm going to probably become a broken record and say I want to thank you for setting that up, because that's a way to bring in our forgotten other stakeholder who's there with Tony in Afghanistan, and that is Yinsen.
Yes.
Oh,
Yinsen.
but he's not Ho Yinsen anymore.
Exactly.
Now
he's,
he's
not a hoe
just.
anymore.
I actually wrote that in my notes, and I
Yeah,
didn't.
that's,
Yeah, I saw
that's
that too.
actually exactly why
That's
I said
exactly
it.
what he
I read it
said.
and I was like, I am not letting that one not get recorded.
I saw that and I said, yeah.
So they they took Yin Sen off the stroll
Yep.
and put him in the cave.
Yeah.
That's the Hostral. Thank you. So he's no longer Ho Yin Sen. He's just Yin Sen.
Yep.
And now
Actually, is he still Asian?
he's no longer Vietnamese
Yeah.
or what we might refer to as Southeast Asian.
Exactly.
Now he's more Afghan, Arab.
Okay, so he is like Middle Eastern.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Interesting choice to keep the name
Yeah.
when you don't. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
which I think that's just for the comic nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is the same role. We just changed it a little bit, but it's really the same guy.
Gotcha. Okay.
But in this case, he's not a Nobel Prize winning
Nope.
physicist.
Man,
Nope.
ah,
So this is going to make Tony work a little bit harder. But to go back to what you were saying, Carl, Yin Sen, I think almost word for word tells him, well, look, this is what your products do.
Yes, he did. Yep.
They kill people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's really the one that sort of sets Tony on the path of righteousness, so to speak, and gets Tony to realize I need to change this, not only because of my own near death and incapacitation as a result of my technology, but that's right, the things that I make that are designed to be used by militaries are being used by militaries, which kill people.
Yeah.
whoops.
And the other parallel is now, as I mentioned earlier, Wang Chu is replaced by Raza, who is a member of the Ten Rings. And the Ten Rings is a whole other mythology.
I was going to ask, but I was like, this feels like it's its own thing, and I'm just gonna let that one go.
Well, no, like which question? You mean like what feels like its own thing?
The Ten Rings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick context for Zaheen and those of you who are not as deeply steeped in the lore as Carl and I are. The Ten Rings is a terrorist organization that was run in the Iron Man comics. So this is a major Iron Man villain by the Mandarin, which is also a obnoxiously racist
Feels like it.
interpretation. Yeah,
Very
he had the
much so.
Fu Manchu mustache.
Very
Oh,
much so.
goodness.
Like
Yes. It's bad.
yeah, it's almost I forget the actor's name, but the guy that played the original Hercule Poirot in the movie is playing Charlie Chan. So he's an English actor playing Charlie Chan, who's supposed to be a Chinese detective, and just like what at the time was not well understood to be aggressively racist, but in our modern understanding is aggressively
It's not
racist.
great.
So the Ten Rings is run by this aggressively racist caricature trope of devious Asian man. But Raza in the movie Iron Man is the sort of local representative of the Ten Rings and is the Afghan warlord that's fighting against U.S. imperialism. And he is, I think his motivations, while the same as Wang Chu's, which are, I have this Tony Stark who can build me a weapon that I can use against the U.S. military. He actually has the very specific Jericho weapon in mind, whereas in the comics and Tales of Suspense, Wang Chu is like, build me a weapon, and doesn't give that. This is part of our Project Scope discussion. Doesn't give Tony that specific that Raza does, which is Raza says, I want the Jericho missile.
Yep.
Can I have a question? Say a question? Pose a question? What's-
All of the above.
Which one is right? I don't know.
All of the above.
I panicked. Ask a question.
That's it.